Hello and welcome everybody to episode 6 of the Rugby League Roundtable. Today we are talking the fan experience. I'm your host, James Graham. I'm joined by the coach, Anthony Seibold, the executive, Matt Cameron, and the journalist, Buzz Rothfield. Guys, fan experience. Matt, I'm going to come to you first. Penrith Panthers knockdown rebuild. It certainly has affected the fans. How do you feel that it's gone so far?
Yeah, for those people, I suppose a bit of context, state government agreed to a $309 million, originally it was a refurbishment, but then it became a complete knockdown of the east and west grandstands to, I suppose, redo what was Bluebet Stadium, Penrith Park. So, this year we've had to make the transition. So our first year at CommBank. So we've played 8 games at CommBank this year and we played 9 games there next year. It was interesting, the effect on our fan base, on our membership base to start off with. So, the membership base, ticketed membership base has probably dropped by about somewhere between 17 and 22% this year. So that had effect on that.
That's a big hit, isn't it?
And with that, and obviously there's a geographical, getting from Penrith to Parramatta on a Thursday night for an 8 o'clock game, potentially using public transport means you're not back on the train till 10:30 at night. You're not back at Penrith till 11:15. So, it's had some hiccups there, I suppose. But, and with that membership drop, the reality is you then get a crowd drop. We were consistently getting 20,000 people to Penrith for home games, across 23, 24, 25 seasons. Sorry, 24 seasons. And with that, there is a trickle-down effect on corporate hospitality, merchandise sales, because you've just got less people in the venue. So it's been difficult. We knew we were going to, not struggle financially. We've still been solid this year, but we knew that we'd have some hurdles that we'd have to get across this year and next year. It was the optimal time to take the game to Vegas. Obviously, we're playing at Magic Round for the next couple of years as the home team, and this year we spoke about it in one of the other episodes. We took a game to Bathurst and a game to Mudgee, primarily because we're not in our own venue at the moment. So,
there's a fan experience at home, TV, radio, all the media outlets. The fan experience at the ground. I think the game works better when we have full houses. What can the club offer to make more fans actually come and watch the game? What is the desired outcome from doing the knockdown rebuild? Like, surely it's got to be more than just facilities.
Well, a part of it is facilities, and we've had what we've found at CommBank, which is a fantastic stadium there at Parramatta, but we have had an increase in casual ticket sales into corporate hospitality areas. What we're finding is, in Penrith, you've all been to Penrith Stadium, we love it, but it had some shortcomings. So the corporate offering in particular at, a state-of-the-art stadium has actually brought more people into those spaces than we've had traditionally. And we would like to think when we go back to Penrith and recreate those kind of spaces that we'll get that flow back to the stadium. But, and to give you an example, wheelchair accessibility, it was very limited at the stadium at Penrith, where the stadium that we're building now, we'll be able to, I think it's like, it'll be 10 or 12 fold what we've had from one stadium to the other. So part of it was facilities, but part of it, I suppose, is the experience, and that's what we're talking about here. We're in the entertainment industry now. We're trying to get people to the ground earlier. We're trying to put out activities for, at Penrith or at CommBank at the moment. Anyway, very family orientated activities. Obviously, the stadium has a huge forecourt out the front where there's lots of activations going on, as with most stadiums at the moment. So we're really trying to make it an event and get their people early. And it's not just about the football. Obviously that's the key element of the night, but trying to, get people there and get them engaged in whatever's going on in and around the precinct.
Yeah, you want a positive experience. It's rightly or wrongly, it's become more and more about not the 80 minutes. That's we've got the halftime show, which gets spoken about grand final.
It's such a challenge these days because TV is so good.
Yep.
You can sit at home 10 metres from your fridge, 15 metres from your bathroom. most comfortable couch ever and this magnificent Harvey Norman television. And
Just goes to show how much money you're on, eh, Buzz? For me, my couch is.
Yeah.
I'm on the bones of my arse. I can't afford Fox. Little tiny TV.
Mate,
I'm watching black and white.
And you know what? If the weather's slightly miserable too, it's a bloody good option, you know? And this is what rugby league clubs are competing with now.
Yep.
And that's why we've got to build good facilities like Penrith and Combank to get people there. And look, you've got to look after fans. And the other one I'll talk about later is the fan engagement of Penrith players after a game.
Yeah.
I don't know how a coach is supposed to address them after a game because they're all out there giving away jerseys, boots. They're terrific, that community stuff. But that's why kids go to rugby league. They want to see Nathan Cleary and do a selfie.
Get close to him. Also, it's the atmosphere as well. Like, for me, going to a game, it's about feeling part of the atmosphere, being part of a group. I know what you mean about it's great to watch it at home, but there's nothing better than being around
nothing beats
like-minded
rugby
people.
league atmosphere, mate.
Like-minded people, all united under a common cause.
Yeah. Jimmy, I think it's look at 4 Pines Park. Like, we get sellouts most weeks and have done for the last sort of two seasons, and it's an event. And it's like our stadium is like a suburban ground. It's not got great facilities, but it fills up every week. And there is something special around those guys sitting on the hill. They all walk down from the Brookvale, all the breweries down there in Brookie, and it is something special. It's a real event, and the community get behind it. And it's not the most extravagant stadium, as I said. It's an old-fashioned ground, but there's nothing that beats Brookie. On a Sunday afternoon, it's unreal atmosphere.
It's beautiful for fan engagement, and so's Leichhardt, and so's Cronulla. But they're very restrictive, these stadiums, and you will get nowhere near the money Matt makes when he gets into his new stadium with these flash corporates and Parramatta and the Cowboys and the Broncos and all these clubs. Look at the Roosters ground.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, because it's a commercial business that we're running that underpins the football program.
100%.
So when you don't have those facilities, and one of the things that we've really noticed this year is because we're at Parramatta, we don't get the flow-on effect from the Lease Club to the game and from the game back to the Lease Club. But you do get, as strange as it is, we have noticed differences because, as you said, instead of those people going to the game, they're actually going to the Lease Club. So we've looked at different experiences that we can put on at the Lease Club on a game day to capture that audience. Although they're watching on a big screen, they're not live at ground. So.
Yeah, What's the answer then? If certain clubs are doing it so well, like you look at the likes of Shark Park. Buzz, I was down there with the family for the game against the Titans Saturday afternoon. Like perfect conditions, but it wasn't full. Small stadium, toilets.
It's not an NRL ground now, Jim, sadly.
The toilets are at one end. Like bar was. Yeah,
busy
to say the least. The queues for everything. Yeah. It's like, and they miss them. By that being the case, it's a bit of a negative experience, and they're missing out on people that have, it's in Cronulla is an affluent area. People have got disposable incomes. They want to eat there. They want to buy merchandise, and it seems like they're not maximising their dollar from their potential customers or their fans.
Well, as Matt explained to me earlier, it costs $309 million to build this great new stadium at Penrith, and the Penrith advantage was politically they were in a bellwether seat that swung every election. They had Stuart Ayres clinging to power then, and he gave them a new stadium thinking it would be a vote winner. In Cronulla, I think it's the last Liberal federal seat in Sydney after the last election wipeout. So there's no sign at all of government funding for Cronulla, particularly as it is a privately owned venue. And I've suggested to Cronulla they just give the stadium to Venues New South Wales, the government. They build it, they manage it, they run it, and Cronulla get it back. They lease it.
So it
And-
becomes more of a community asset.
Yeah, it's a Southern Districts rugby played there, but we're getting away from the fans here. But the fans, and I
Well,
know
it impacts the fans. Like your experience at Shark Park isn't one that says come back.
The corporate facilities there is basically a marquee on the hill for the Chairman's Club. You know, it's just not good enough. You know, and I'm not worried about next season or work, but I'm worried about 10 years. I reckon next year Cronulla will be stopped from hosting finals.
Week 1 of the semis. Yep.
And I
Do you
can
agree with
take
that?
and I love walking down to Cronulla from where I live, but you got to take a big picture view. It's an embarrassment.
You can't lock as many fans out as what were for that game against the Roosters.
No,
But the hard bit is what's a limit? So is 12,000
why
not
should-
enough for
but
13,000
why-
is? Like, that's the hard bit.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
Well, there'd be
got a
criteria that you'd have to meet.
because if Seib's got a week 1 final, so you're getting what, 18,000?
Yeah, 17,200 or something.
So you know what's and if the Tigers
Yeah,
got a week
where
one,
is that line?
Yeah.
so if
My-
the Tigers
my
got a
view
week
is
1
to-
semi and wanted to play at Leichhardt, what would
as I
maybe
wrote at
Leichhardt's
the
not.
time, that Cronulla East game, you should be able to get your members in, shouldn't you? We all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Both clubs.
Yes. Between them, they have 38,000 members and they sold 12,500 tickets. So you're locking out 26,000 members. That's not, you can't do it. No business can do that.
No, but your membership is only based on the games, the home games that you play at that venue. And then week 1, the NRL takes over that venue for the finals. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
week 1,
Yeah.
that game should not have been at Shark Park. Should not have been Darliance either, because that's the Roosters home. It should have gone to Combank or a core.
But Fitzy will argue that they earned the right to play it there. And I understand.
But they were the rules at the start of the year.
Yeah.
If you make the top bit of the top 4 or the top 8, you get a home ground. But they need to change that rule and put out a criteria to host a final, what facility you need to have it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Matt, about missing the
we-
advantage, but you know it's your prerogative to not invest in your stadium.
Well, I think Cronulla are probably going through their own set of circumstances at the moment with the development and everything else that's gone on down there. So, which, yeah, I probably can't really comment
Manly
on.
will be the same. Manly's, that ground's not good enough. Leichhardt's not good enough. And I love them, though. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
I do.
that's more my point earlier. Like
Yeah,
the
the
atmosphere. I
atmosphere
wasn't
is-
talking about the.
And
I
how-
don't know as a fan, you know, like how long it takes to line up to get a drink or go to the toilet. But my point I was talking to, like the atmosphere there on a Sunday afternoon is like it's
Heaving.
pretty, it's pretty special. Yeah.
And fans, as I said, against television, you've got to make their experience very special and comfortable and user-friendly. And, you know, I'm a member myself. You know, I've had a season membership for 25 years down there, but I want good facilities.
So if they took that game to a bigger venue in the venues network, so what happens when they take, and unfortunately they played the Roosters, but if they mandated that you had to play that game at Allianz, then you're dealing with the other side.
Well, I think it'd have to be a movable beast because depending on who you play, if you're playing at Para, you'd go to Allianz.
But if you played at Combank, like, do you think you would get, like, geographically people travelling? Like,
Well,
of course you'd
we'd
get
go
some,
to
but-
a core.
yeah.
For week 1, though,
Hmm?
you think Sharks fans would go
Well,
in numbers
look,
to a call for week 1? They would
atmosphere-wise,
go for week 4, but would they go for week 1?
I think so, yeah.
Well, you get more than 12,000. Either way, you'd
But-
still get
Yeah.
more than 12,000 people.
But the
in the venue.
difficulty is you've got to
But
weigh
then-
everything up. You've got to weigh the atmosphere and the experience up. And the atmosphere at Shark Park with 13,500 is far superior to 30 at a core, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the aesthetics
you've
of
got
it
to-
as well. Like, you know, if you've got, what's the lesser of two evils here? A packed Shark Park locking people out, or they play the Cowboys at Allianz and there's 16,000 and there's empty bays for week 1 of finals, or even week 2 or week 3, potentially.
Yeah, we had a situation a couple of years ago. We were going to play Melbourne in the week 3 game. We won in week 1 and we won through, and the NRL contacted us early and said, look, quite probably you'll play Melbourne. We would prefer that you play it, we think it'd be a good idea if we played at Combank because you'll feel it,
Yeah.
as opposed to playing Melbourne at
A core
in week 3 where you might only get 45,000. So part of it was atmosphere, optics, all those costs. I'm assuming there's a financial model in the background for both grounds, but we made the decision that we wanted to play at a core because we were getting ready to play the following week. So rather than be the first game of the final series that you play at the grand final venue, we wanted it to be the week before. So,
speaking of fan experience and finals, the halftime entertainment. We've looked across to America and what they do with the Super Bowl, where it's my understanding that it's for the artists that perform, it's something that they aspire to do, and they do it for free. It's seen as a prize almost, and you don't receive any monetary compensation for your efforts at halftime to sing a couple of songs. That's putting it very politely. The AFL, they've gone with Snoop Dogg. We've gone with Teddy Swims. Why do we even bother? Like, why do we need to compare?
We pay them a lot of money.
Yeah, no. So we pay
the NFL.
We
don't,
pay.
so.
Yeah, exactly. So NFL don't pay. AFL do, and then so do we to bring an artist in.
We pay them a lot of money.
Why?
I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd rather see a 100-metre sprint.
Well, mate, for me, for the AFL to pay Snoop Dogg $5 million, at least 3 times more than what, for a 20-minute set, if that, 3 times more than what their highest paid player is being played. Like, that's disgraceful. Like, I just don't understand why we entertain it. Why do we need to copy AFL or NFL in this instance?
I know there's been previous years where they've, leaned into Australian rock bands and rock artists. They've been great nights. I know a couple of years ago they had the Tina Turner show. They had an excerpt from that, which was pretty good. But and I suppose too, I think the two events are different. Like the AFL event is, I suppose, perceived more corporately than the NRL event.
Oh, undoubtedly, yeah.
And I think I'm speaking as a 55-year-old guy that likes Australian music. I heard someone talking about the night the Hoodoo Gurus played. I think it was the 06 grand final, 07 grand final. Those sort of things. I think that would go down just as well. But full credit to the NRL, like they're trying something different. So,
but do they need to try? Like, do they just like it's a costly endeavour? I honestly don't see the point. And maybe that's just me as an old footy player.
I wouldn't sell the ticket. People buy tickets to go and watch rugby.
I've got a couple of people that I cannot wait for you guys to win because I want to go and watch Teddy Swims at half time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
But I bet you they'd go if he wasn't singing.
Yeah, they would, but they are more excited to go if he is. So.
Yeah, at what cost though?
To the game?
Yeah,
that's out of my remit. So. But yeah, it's an expense that the game would incur, and you could argue, does that change the ticket price for the average punter and all those sorts of things? But we're in the entertainment industry.
Do the broadcasters want it? Do the broadcasters want to be able to advertise Teddy Swims?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I don't know.
But we don't know how much Teddy Swims has been paid to be there. So
still
might not be a lot of money.
I know how much Snoop Dogg or it's reported that Snoop Dogg is getting paid $5 million, which seems.
Isn't it normally done around tours here?
He's got a concert in Singapore after this, I think. So
probably get more from 20 minutes in Victoria
than the concert.
The concert itself.
I'd rather see Jason Saab chase down Josh Addo-Carr and who have you got that's quick. You can throw
the
in
NRL have, they've done a lot of work over a number of years trying to get an NRL sprint on grand final day. But the reality is the players they're done. I can't imagine Seas would want
Jason Saab would run any day.
Saab would probably run. He'd probably want to run.
Yeah.
But for the cost of Teddy Swims, I'm sure you could sweeten the deal with the 8 fastest non-competing in the grand final players.
Give the 10 fastest 10 grand each, which has to go to a charity, and
Yeah, each one gets 10 grand charity, and the winner gets 10 grand for their own.
50 grand even. Make them really train for it.
coach in the room says, what happens if one of them does their hamstring?
Yeah, I don't even say that.
Yeah, well,
Roger Fabry will like it. Roger will get hurt out of
That's
it.
it.
Again, we're so protective.
No,
of
that's
our-
it, though.
of
I
our
mean,
players, so.
I mean, well, you stop players going on holiday. You stop players,
Yeah.
slipping in the shower, or whatever it may be. Like you can't control everything, and it's a 100-meter sprint. They're going to get warmed up. Like it's not. You're not asking them to do something they wouldn't be capable of doing.
No, I agree. And the NRL spoke to us this time last year, and I just said, "Oh, look, no."
The AFL do they do some events, don't they? My understanding on grand final day. Yeah, I think they might have a longest
kick across the river and that
kick
sort
across
of
the river
Yeah.
and a few bits and pieces. They would do a sprint as well. Yeah. I knew they did.
Who's
Few
your
bits and
quickest man who would not be playing in the grand final? Jenkins? Is he quick?
Yeah, he's got a bit of foot speed. Brian Tyler,
Yeah.
he had to stop and go the other way.
He's
the other
playing.
day.
I think it'd be great.
I think that would gather more interest than nothing against Teddy Swims, but
It's as a putting on a game each week. I have a marketing department that they're investigating new ideas and that sort of thing. And I still, to my bones, feel the days where we put mini mod on at halftime and just kids running around the oval playing like a game, sometimes is way more entertaining than kicking a ball in the end trying to catch it with a bucket or something like that. So.
Well, what about, say, like the Dogs and Warriors have done this year, where they've had a real focus on the entrance? I think that, and obviously the Raiders with their engagement with the Viking clap and the horn, I think that helps fans feel part of the team, and it's all part of the product. It comes through the TV screens amazingly.
Yep.
But there'd be nothing better than a fan being there, involved in the Viking clap, involved in seeing the Warriors or the Bulldogs run onto the field where it all goes dark. Like, this is all part of it to bring more people to the ground.
Yeah.
You've got to offer experiences outside the 80 minutes.
And these new stadiums that we're talking about, like at the old Penrith Park, you couldn't turn the lights on and off and have the lights.
You won't be able to at Brookie, that's for sure.
But you go to Combank and you can darken the field and make the lights come back on straight away. And colours and music, all that sort of stuff. So
That's
which when you talk about taking those games back to big venues, like that's the spectacle that you can create.
You mentioned a point before, Matt, about price point.
Yep.
Can you bring us up to speed on how all that works? Because the cost of living issue. Rugby league is a working class sport. How important is affordability, and what can the club itself do to help encourage those that are struggling the most get to as many games as possible?
Well, I think each club sets its own ticket price, and
that's a club initiative, not an NRL. So
for our home games, we would set our own ticket price.
Yeah.
For our internal club membership, we would set our own membership prices and the package that sits behind that. For membership, and obviously each NRL team, there's a number of kit suppliers. There's probably 3, 4, 5 maybe that cover the whole league. So, for instance, us and the Bulldogs, we get our jerseys from the same manufacturer. I'm assuming they're the same cost price, but then it's up to the individual club to set a retail price. If we want to set ours $5 higher or $5 lower, that's an internal decision we make. But I think clubs are incredibly conscious of setting price points that are affordable. What is difficult to control is when you get into those bigger stadiums that aren't run by the clubs necessarily. You're paying, a beer price or a food price that's set by a third-party agency. We don't have controls over that, which is where we do get some wins when we play at Penrith, because they start at the club where we can, we control that economy
there. You can control the price of
move into a venue that we don't necessarily control all of it.
So at Penrith Park, will you control the vendors there?
No, once it's re-established, the stadium will fall back under the Venues New South Wales banner, as is Combank, Accor, Allianz, Newcastle, and Wynn. So it was never our stadium to start off with. It was a council ground that we were a tenant of. So.
A lot of the great stadiums overseas, you can sit in the seat. This is getting away from costs, but you can do your order from your seat. Someone will deliver you your hamburger and a beer.
And I think it's probably part of the Vegas experience too, like
Yeah.
just to see how
Yeah.
some of those
And-
big stadiums operate overseas is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So.
You'd think by 2050 we'll have similar setups at just about every club, hopefully.
All you'll have to do is think about a beer and one will come.
Yeah.
So the football staff went to one of the stadiums when they were over there. I think it might have been a basketball game, and it was when you went into the kiosk, you must have somehow you must have been in the system with a credit card at the start of the night or your ticket. I can't remember what it was, but you went to the kiosk and you just grabbed the hot dog and a beer and you turned around and walked out, and it was all facial recognition.
Wow.
And,
Oh,
and,
really?
And the debiting against your card as you walked out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they asked the question, like, how the tech can't be 100% accurate. And they said, oh, look, for what we, the guy that owns the franchise, like, that's a small price to pay if we don't get every cent of every person because the tech's faulty.
Yeah.
1 in 100 transactions.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy
you're
what
not
it'll be
paying any-
like, and
it
the
will be
fan
crazy.
experience.
You're not paying any wages. It's kind of like the personalist checkout. Like people steal
Yeah,
from
it's like
people
that.
steal from that all the time, but it's less than what it costs to
Put a
put
person
someone on there.
I went to Tottenham Hotspur.
That's how I justify the old beep. Or what this fillet steak, does that say loose onions? Oh wow, that's a bargain.
Yeah. I went to Tottenham's home ground,
What'd you think?
65,000. You been there?
Yeah.
I liked
Impressive. Yeah.
But
Cashless venue.
there's no queue at the bar, even with 65. They've got a schooner glass with a hole in it. They put it down straight away. And,
No
there's
schooners at Tottenham, mate. It'd be proper pints.
pints, whatever they. But just all these little
Yeah.
things, and it was so comfortable. And it was freezing cold, but it was comfortable. Nothing was an effort. The moment the tickets were dear, but the experience and the way you were looked after and shown to where your seat was, and all it was just so first class. It really was.
Well, that's where I guess the aim would be. But I guess, having said that, Seibs, you mentioned it about at Manly and the Hill, and there's a little bit of nostalgia there that there is something about these corporate facilities and all these nice shiny stadiums, but then a good old fashioned sit on the hill with your mates, with your family. At Shark Park, they've got that family hill there, and as long as it's dry, like, there's something to be said. Or is that just a thing of the past, and it just we think that it's good, and it's not actually as great as we remember?
I think for a lot of families, like, so I talked to some of the dads in the area, like, it's a bit of a rite of passage, so to speak. Like, when they were kids, they went with their dad. They're taking their kids now. I think, talking to Buzz's point around it, where's the game going to be? Where's media going to be in 2050? Where's stadium going to be in 2050? I don't think there's going to be, a Brookie Oval set up
With a
like
hill,
it is. Yeah, with a hill. But for the moment, it's it's quite unique, and it's still a little bit of a novelty, I suppose, for people because it takes them back to when they were kids, right? So I think overwhelmingly, you look at the hills at some of the grounds that still play in the suburbs, like a Brookie and like Hartlepool, they're packed.
And it still presents a price point option that's affordable.
Yeah.
Like as a ticket on the hill, say at Penrith, a ticket on the hill is cheaper than a ticket in the grandstand. So, so the differing price points for families.
It's a fact of life. Cricket at the Wacker in Perth was so history, so traditional, but they're at Optus because there's a comfortable seat and they can sell more tickets. You can be undercover, that hill, there's a hill at the cricket ground.
Yeah.
And they built that beautiful Steve Waugh stand or whatever it's called. It's just
it'll
rugby
change.
league
Yeah.
to get there.
Can you imagine when it comes to like the last of the hills, like the rush for tickets
It will be,
for the last hill, your ability to sit on the hill will be coming to an end. I reckon the rush and the interest, and even the news around it, it'll be closing of a huge chapter of Australian sport.
I don't know if you've noticed some of the. I was looking at something the other day, the images of the hill at the cricket ground, and it's just got no one's got a t-shirt on, like no sunscreen, like they've got skis.
Yeah.
Crazy. So,
It is. It's
big
come up.
beer snakes, like it's So.
One of the things for fan experiences, I experienced this in the Super League across many sports are across the globe. The name on the back of the shirt, for me, it's it boggles the mind that we've not gone there as a game. Like that, you could literally say, "Oh, who's fullback?" The number one. Well, no, you should have names on the back of shirt, and what that could lead into in terms of revenue and a bit of something else for the player to gain. We've spoken in a number of episodes of maybe the players having to give some things up, especially when it comes to trade windows that specifically look after the top end players. Something to sweeten that deal, I feel, could be, okay, well, we're going to put names on the back of shirts, and every Cleary 7 or Trebojevic 1 that is sold, you get a slice of the pie. Or we could branch off into maybe not jerseys, but different ranges around the Cleary 7 range. Like, I think we're not maximising our potential there, and I can't see, other than it takes up a sponsor's bit of sponsorship real estate.
Correct.
Is that the only issue that we're facing here, Matt?
I don't think it's the only issue. If you spoke to someone at Notre Dame, they'd say that the thing on the front's more important than the name on the back, like from a historical point of view. The badge on the front. Like the commerciality of that logo, the top and back, is significant in terms of, you're probably looking at front of jersey would be your highest paid asset on a jersey, and you're probably looking at the top and back would be the second highest asset, lower back after that. If we wanted to redesign what the back of a jersey looked like, I'm sure there's scope to do that, to try and fit all that real estate in with a number that a commentator can see from a distance.
But we do that in Origin with names that doesn't interfere with.
Yeah, you could move that real estate around. From a purely from a commercial point of view. Then I would, instead of ordering X amount of jerseys from O'Neill's with no number on the back of it and having the capacity to stamp a name or a number on it, I would be ordering X amount of those ones, and then the club would accept the risk in terms of, I don't know how many Seibold jerseys I'm going to sell, so how many do I need to stock?
Well, you'd just have them. You'd have them blank. Most places in Europe, the jerseys are blank.
Yep.
And then they are printed on, unless you've got an insanely popular player that they know are going to.
Peter Wynn puts it on as soon as you had his store at Parramatta.
But if my jersey came into that shop, there's one there. If you wanted to have a look at it, there'd be no name, there'd be no space.
Yeah, at the moment. So that sponsorship real estate, where the name would go, roughly speaking, what's the annual cost of that for a potential partner?
It would vary widely between 17 clubs, but it could be anything between $700,000 and $500,000.
It's interesting. Can you think of a creative way to make that back?
Yeah, there'd be a way to do it. Yeah, when you're talking about, most clubs are running with a $40+ million budget. So.
Yeah.
But again, you touched on the players as an opportunity. The players are only in the game for a very short period of time. Is there an opportunity then for maximise their earnings by taking a percentage cut of a Cleary jersey or a Trebojevic jersey? I think that's a great concept to chase.
Yeah. Could you also argue you may sell more jerseys if you've got a Cleary 7 jersey, or a Yo 13, or an Edward 1, or a Toto 5, Talangi 6?
You could.
There's
imagine the fury if you had a Galvin 6 West Tigers.
But that's part of sport, Buzz, and maybe that tips into the more about the player movement mid-season. Yeah. Because you look at the Beckham 7s, the Jordan 23s, and the human interest story that these athletes become, and their number is a huge part of that.
Maybe the first step is just the number. So instead of being 1 to 17, it's you're 7 and you're
like
22.
the Australian
Yeah,
cricket
you-
team.
Yeah.
You know,
you
one
always
days
play in
and
your number.
T20s.
Yeah, I think we're wasting an opportunity, and I think it's great to hear, Matt, that you think there's ways to overcome that that potential sponsorship loss, because for me it's a matter of when, not if, we change. And I just can't understand why we hold back. Buzz, you're close with people at the NRL. Do you have any idea why we haven't moved on this yet?
I don't. I must admit, I don't. And anything that the fans want, and with the potential to, revenue, you might get extra sales, as you said, they should be looking at.
Biggest hindrance at the moment would be that commercial property. Give you an example, like that's sold on our jersey until, it won't be oak, but that's sold on our jersey for next year through till 2028. So whatever model you had, there would have to be some grandfathering part to it to roll jerseys in and out.
If you as a club decided you're going to do this, could you?
I can't decide as a club. It's
You can't.
NRL.
What? So why the NRL mandate? You have to have a sponsorship there, a partnership there.
No, the NRL mandate, like what the jersey needs to meet some guidelines. The way the numbers set out, the size of the number, those type of things.
Well, I think it was. I'm nearly through the Cowboys documentary on Netflix. I've said this before, not the cheerleader one, the one where is it Jim?
Yeah, Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, and they had a deal with Reebok.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones. They had a governing body deal with Reebok, and he just went, stuff yeah, I'm going to sign with Nike. And I know the Bulldogs are in talks with the NRL about the player names on the back.
Aaron's a big advocate for it. Yeah. So.
But what would be the ramifications if you the Panthers, say you weren't signed up till 2028, if you just went, I'm going to do it?
I don't think anyone in the NRL operates like that. I don't think any of the 17 clubs would operate like that.
If you get a rogue, but what do you think the perceived punishment would be?
Well, they give us a grant that covers the player payment and a clear $5 million margin every year, so I don't think I'd be tempting fate with going down that path. So
Just do it.
Jerry Jones has got more money. He could buy the whole league if he wanted to. Yeah.
So you don't think anyone's going to go rogue?
No, well, I don't. The the NRL clubs don't operate like that. They at times we butt heads with the NRL, but it's a very collaborative, relationship with how it goes on, the marketing guidelines and all those sorts of things.
One of the things I witnessed as a commentator at the games, and you've spoken about it, is that the player connection to the fans. Seibs, you've got some marquee players at your disposal. What do you feel when you see the likes of the Trebojeviches, the DCEs of the world engaging with the fans in such a pleasant manner? I think back to my time, like after a game, I'm usually always went over to clap and applaud the fans and thank them for their attendance, but probably wasn't too engaged in getting selfies, do a few high fives. I'd give jerseys and boots away, that's fine, but it seems like it's gone up a level now. Yeah. For you as a coach, is that something that you encourage, or is it like, lads, we've got to get into the dressing room and review what's just happened?
No, we have a 20-minute clock. So for home games, the players have got 20 minutes, and there's literally a 20-minute clock on the big screen to get around and get selfies or high five or whatever. The engagement the players are up for. So we actively encourage it. Like we're a community club. I know Matt was talking before around the number one priority is community, but we're there to represent the Northern Beaches, and so we want to make sure if you bring your kids down and you sit on the hill, whether it's raining, sunshine, or whatever, that you get some sort of opportunity to mingle with the players. The thing that makes you really proud as a coach when you see guys like Tom Trebojevic go above and beyond that 20 minutes, if that makes sense. Some of the times I've seen Tom, go back out after the debrief or, getting on the bus. And it's the same for all clubs. I'm sure, the high-profile players at all clubs do this type of thing. But it makes you proud because, you want your players to represent your club in the right way. And, we're fortunate that we've got plenty of guys who do a good job with that. But, in the first instance, we put 20 minutes on the clock. Yeah,
that's awesome. Matt, is there a possibility that this gets abused, or there's a dangerous aspect of this? We saw like Reece Walsh get mistreated by the Canberra fans and reacted, and maybe at the end of a game, like we need to cherish this, but is there an accident waiting to happen?
Well, you're inside the venue fence, which is always helpful to start off with. And I could understand, particularly at away venues, that sometimes if, the result didn't go the way it should have gone, there'd be some, people hurling abuse over the other side of the fence. Quite often, and I'm sure Seibs is the same, we'll have security guards with the players. Because the venue has a security staff that enters the field of play post-game, and they tend to sort of push out closer to the fences. So when the boys are going along, usually there's a security guard within 10 or 15 metres all the time. So
so there's protocols in place to protect the players.
One of the and you love it when you see it, and not that we would ever discourage it, but we've had examples where there's been a disabled boy in the grandstand, and one of the players has jumped the fence to go up and see. But once you start doing that, you go, you're just worried someone's going to fall over, someone's going to hurt themselves, he's going to get mobbed, that type of thing. So. But it's usually pretty safe.
I sometimes feel a bit for the players, especially you love the fans turning up with their signs, asking for stuff, but there's a lot of pressure on them to deliver on and off the field, and that's why I say you hope it doesn't get abused. Hey, it's my birthday, can I have this? It's
one of the favourite ones I've seen now at the stadiums with tunnels. You'll get someone up the top and they'll be, and they'll drop their phone on purpose.
Yes.
So the player has to pick it up, and then the player goes, and gets the selfie. You just see kids, you're thinking, I hope mum and dad's not seeing you dropping your phone over the... So.
Buzz, to wrap things up, the fan experience, what is the most pressing issue for you that the game could look to move on? You're obviously... inundated with emails and a prominent person on social media. How many thousand followers is it now?
99. Trying to get to 100.
1,000.
1,000.
What do you feel we can move on?
I spoke to Peter Volandis not long ago, and as you said, we're still in a cost of living crisis, and the cost of a mortgage and fill your petrol and groceries and all that sort of, and he was quite concerned about the price of merchandise and the fact that you can pay up to $170 for a jersey, and clubs have 4 or 5 different ones some seasons. That many, 3 or 4. Well, there you go.
You can have 5.
Yeah,
you got an option to use a maximum of 5.
Yeah, and there's also new sponsors, and kids want the latest stuff, as Matt was explaining before we started, that he's got a new fronted jersey or whatever, and they want to have it's very, very expensive. And the day at the football would be a really interesting project, and I might try and do it next year, to set out from where I am to go to Parramatta to pay my entrance and take some kids and buy a pie, and it's just got to be affordable. And it really does if we want them there regularly, because we're competing against what I spoke about earlier, the comfort of home where it's free of charge. But this stuff the players do is just sensational. And you spoke about Walsh, and I've seen him at Suncorp.
It's incredible what he does.
That guy is the hottest talent, marketing machine. I was sitting at a function, there was Joey Johns and Freddie Fittler on the table, and there were a couple of dignitaries here, and I just started saying, how big's Reece Walsh, and we're talking about, and someone said, bigger than Joey even, in that, the appeal with young women and his Instagram following, which Joey never had as a player. And I was trying to think, when was the last player like him we had? But the accessibility that he gives these fans is just fantastic, and but pricing's the critical thing for me, because look, I know there's a lot of families, and we all come from different demographics, and it's all right to say the Roosters, in the eastern suburbs, or can afford, but To call us a working class game, I think that's downplaying us a little bit now.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're a multi.
Yeah.
You know, we've got people who live on the harbour who love rugby league.
It has gone up in popularity in a lot of areas that are a bit more affluent.
And the top end of town that's interested in rugby league has grown enormously. But the punter, you know, your average, you know, traditional rugby league fan it's expensive.
Yeah. I'll finish off with Matt and Seibs because you've both been to Vegas, and it came up briefly around the experience in the States. Buzz, I know you've been as well, but you two have clubs there. What from a fan engagement perspective, from a fan experience, how was the feedback from your members who made that trip over there?
Unbelievable. The people that made the trip. And I was there, I got in on the Sunday. Monday, wouldn't have known there was a game of footy. Tuesday, the odd. Wednesday, a lot of the English fans rolled into town. So all of a sudden you're seeing all these, you know, different jerseys. You know, by Thursday you could see all four teams. People were talking about it. I was really fortunate. Friday afternoon I got invited to the two English clubs had drinks with the Federation across the road from the Fountain. What's the hotel with the Fountain? Can't remember. And we were standing there, the sun's going down, and a truck drove down the strip with a digital LED thing on the back of it with a picture of Nathan playing footy and the Fountain going off behind it. And whoever I was with, I said, could you have imagined 10 years ago that we'd be standing here going to a game of footy with Nathan on the screen in front of that? Like, it's just hard to fathom. And everyone I've spoken to, you know, a lot of the Penrith fans that went, like, absolutely blown away by the event. And they do it so well over there.
It seems obviously it's a bit different for you as a coach, but for you were there the inaugural year, which like would have been amazing for your fans. It's something that you'd look to encourage, or if the opportunity came again, you'd look to seek.
Definitely, I think for a lot of our players, we went over there, you know, talking about making a memory, and we made a memory, you know, for ourselves, but for the families, the supporters, everyone who came. The big thing that surprised the hell out of us was, you know, sometimes you have like a season launch or whatever, and sometimes they can be sort of a little bit a little bit flat.
Yeah,
we turned up in the bus to the old Vegas, Fremont Street for the launch, and it was something that I've never seen before. It was
up there the best things I've ever seen in rugby.
I'll never forget that.
Those supporters there.
It was incredible, right? So straight away, like, the players are gone, wow, this is like something
crazy.
Like something a bit special. And then similar, probably saw people come into town around that Thursday before the Saturday game, and it was just a really special memory, and it really set us up on a really positive season, you know. And but all the supporters who went there, anyone that we bumped into, just could not believe how good it was. The fan experience was great. The game was great. The weather wasn't great that particular day, but you went into the stadium, remember, Buzz,
and there was day ever.
Yeah, you know, it was like the best day ever in the stadium.
They closed the airport down. There was that much.
Yeah.
It was cyclonic. You were there, and
That's right.
you in that beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
It was just
you wouldn't have known, Buzz, would you? Like, you're in there, and it was great conditions to play football. You know?
They say you can't control the weather, but in Las Vegas you can.
You could.
And like rain, hail or shine, that game was going ahead. It was dangerous to get from the hotel to the ground. Like we saw a couple of people that got injured along the way. It was that bad. Yeah. And you'd say if that was an open air stadium, the product would be clearly affected.
Yeah.
But it was a sensational experience year 1, year 2. Dogs are back dogs will be there in year 3, so looking forward to that one. But gents, thanks so much for joining us. Great contribution about the fan experience. We'll be back with episode 7 soon.